They thought we were blind, that their cloaked satellites, buried tech, and primitive broadcasts could fool us. But they were wrong. This is the untold story of how one researcher uncovered humanity's greatest deception, and why the galaxy would never see Earth the same way again. Zyrek Loom adjusted their sensory appendages in frustration as they stared at the holographic display of Earth rotating slowly before them. The blue-green planet, third from its unremarkable yellow star, had been their research assignment for the past 3 solar cycles. As the Galactic Federation's youngest xenotechnological researcher, they had hoped for something more challenging. Recording observation log, date stamp 7249.3, Zyrek spoke into their neural interface. Continuing analysis of Sol 3, designation Earth. These humans continue to prove themselves as technologically stunted, as preliminary reports suggested. The massive observation station orbiting in the dark side of Earth's moon provided an excellent vantage point for their research. Zyrek's mandibles clicked in amusement as they watched another primitive rocket launch from the surface, burning chemical fuel like some sort of ancient firework. "Look at them, Synthetic Assistant KAR-7. Zyrek addressed their AI companion, still burning hydrocarbons to reach their own orbit. The Galactic Federation mastered gravitational manipulation 10,000 years ago. Observation noted, Researcher Loom. The AI responded in its characteristically neutral tone. Though I feel compelled to point out that different species develop along different technological paths. Zyrek waved their upper appendage dismissively. Please, the Rigelians developed anti-gravity before they invented the wheel. The Centaurians had faster-than-light travel while still living in floating cities. But humans, they've barely managed to send a few primitive probes past their own solar system. Through the station's quantum imaging arrays, Zyrek zoomed in on a major human city, New York, according to their database. The researchers' bioluminescent patches flickered with barely contained mirth as they observed the endless streams of ground vehicles crawling along the concrete arteries of the metropolis. Commander Verelian was clearly punishing me with this assignment. Zyrek continued their log, probably still upset about that incident with the dimensional portal in the officers' lounge. But really, how was I supposed to know those Arcturian quantum shrimp would multiply so quickly? The holographic display shifted to show various human communication networks, radio waves, microwave transmissions, and the primitive digital network they called the Internet, all using electromagnetic radiation like civilizations in their technological infancy. At least the humans provide some entertainment value, Zyrek noted, their upper eye stalk swiveling to track a particularly amusing transmission, something about feline creatures performing improbable acrobatics. Their cultural broadcasts are oddly compelling, even if their technology is laughably basic. Commander Vex Verelion's imposing hologram materialized in the observation chamber, causing Zyrek to straighten their posture instinctively. The commander's crystalline exoskeleton glittered even through the holographic projection. Researcher Loom, Verelian's resonant voice filled the chamber. Your quarterly report is overdue. Please tell me you have something useful to report about these humans beyond their apparent fascination with distributing images of inner infant members of their species. Commander, I was just completing my latest observations, Zyrek said, trying to sound more confident than they felt. The humans remain at classification level 2 on the technological achievement scale. They still rely on digital binary computing, chemical propulsion, and have yet to achieve unified planetary governance. Their most advanced weapon systems utilize primitive nuclear fission. Verelian's crystalline features arranged themselves into what Zyrek recognized as an expression of disapproval. Need I remind you, researcher Loom, that your position here is already precarious after the quantum shrimp incident? The Council expects thorough analysis, not casual dismissal of potentially emerging civilizations. With all due respect, Commander, Zyrek's bioluminescent patches pulsed with conviction. I've seen nothing to suggest these humans are anywhere close to achieving meaningful technological advancement. They're still debating the reality of climate change for stars' sake. Just last week, they celebrated launching a telescope that wouldn't impress a Betelgeusian kindergartner. Nevertheless, Varelian's hologram loomed closer. You will maintain your observation post and submit detailed reports. The Federation doesn't maintain this station merely to provide you with entertainment. Remember, even primitive species can surprise us. The Proxima incident taught us that much. As the commander's hologram dissipated, Zyrek turned back to their displays with a sigh. Another year watching these humans fumble with their primitive technology. At least they could amuse themselves with more of those feline videos. What they didn't notice was the tiny anomaly in their supposedly undetectable quantum scanning array, a microscopic fluctuation that suggested someone or something down on that blue-green planet might be paying attention after all. This will be the easiest data extraction in galactic history, Zyrek Loom announced to their AI assistant, confidence radiating through their bioluminescent patches. These humans still use binary code. Binary? It's like trying to crack a child's puzzle box. Zyrek's appendages danced across the holographic interface as they prepared to infiltrate Earth's military networks. After Commander Virelion's lecture, they had decided to prove just how primitive human technology really was by collecting some of their most classified data. Researcher Loom, KAR-7, interjected, "Protocol suggests we should request authorization before. Authorization is for researchers studying actually advanced civilizations." Zyrek cut off the AI. "This is just a training exercise. Watch and learn how a graduate of the Central Galactic Academy handles primitive security systems." The alien researcher initiated their quantum infiltration sequence, a program so advanced it had never failed to breach any Level 2 civilization's defenses. Zyrek was already drafting their smug report in their head. The first warning sign came when their initial probe disappeared. Not blocked, not deflected, just vanished. Zyrek's eye stalks twitched in confusion. "How strange," they muttered, launching a more sophisticated attack vector. "Must be a sensor malfunction." The second probe not only vanished, but somehow reflected back, cramming Zyrek's databanks with what appeared to be thousands of human cat videos. Their holographic displays filled with endless loops of felines, knocking objects off elevated surfaces. "What in the name of the Seven Suns?" Zyrek's patches flashed in alarm as they tried to stop the incoming data stream. "KAR-7, emergency purge." Unable to comply, the AI responded, its voice somehow sounding amused. "The incoming data appears to be encrypted using quantum entanglement principles we've never encountered before." Zyrek's appendages frantically worked the controls as more systems began behaving erratically. Their coffee synthesizer started producing something that tasted suspiciously like Earth's hot chocolate. The gravity controls went haywire, causing them to float momentarily before slamming back into their observation chair. "This is impossible!" Zyrek shouted as their communication system began playing something called "Never Gonna Give You Up" on endless repeat. They're supposed to be primitive. They still watch entertainment on flat screens. A new message flashed across their display. "Naughty, naughty. Didn't anyone teach you it's rude to hack without knocking first?" Before Zirek could respond, their entire system began speaking in something called Yuvu language, turning their sophisticated research station into what sounded like a baby talking in baby talk. "Emergency shutdown," Zirek screamed, their voice cracking. "Full system reset." As their systems slowly came back online, a priority communication from Commander Virelian materialized. The commander's crystalline features were arranged in what Zirek recognized as extreme displeasure. "Researcher Loom." Virelian's voice could have frozen a star. "Would you care to explain why our entire 7th Fleet just received something called a Rickroll through their quantum communication channels?" Zyrek's bioluminescence dimmed to nearly nothing. "Commander, I can explain. I was merely conducting a routine security analysis of a level 2 civilization that somehow managed to not only detect your quantum intrusion, but counterattack with memes." The commander's voice dripped with sarcasm. "A civilization you assured me was, and I quote, barely past discovering electricity. But their technology is so primitive," Zirek protested. "They still use internal combustion engines, which makes it all the more interesting." A new voice joined the conversation. On Zyrek's display appeared a human woman in a simple black suit, her silver hair pulled back in a neat bun. "How we managed to detect and repel your little digital invasion attempt." Zyrek's eye stalks nearly tied themselves in knots. "Who? What? How are you on this channel?" "Dr. Lyra Voss, Earth Defense Technology Division." The human smiled pleasantly. "Though I must say, your encryption was a bit disappointing. My teenage daughter has created more sophisticated security for her diary." Commander Virelian's hologram turned to face the human's image. "Dr. Voss, I assure you this unauthorized access attempt was not sanctioned by the Galactic Federation." "Oh, we know," Dr. Voss replied cheerfully. "We've been monitoring your observation post since you set it up behind our moon. Quite a lovely facility, though your quantum shielding could use some work. Would you like our latest research papers on the subject?" Zyrek's patches had gone from dim to actively trying to crawl inside their body and hide. Their entire understanding of human technological development had just been shattered. And worse, they had become the galaxy's biggest joke. Already, they could see the memes spreading across the Federation's networks. Human cat videos defeat alien invasion. "Researcher Loom." Commander Virelian's voice had gone deadly quiet. "You will submit a full report on this incident, and then we will discuss your new assignment. I hear the methane farmers on Neptune's moons need a research assistant." As both holograms faded, Zyrek slumped in their chair, their AI assistant playing what sounded suspiciously like a laugh track from an Earth sitcom. "KR7. Zyrek said weakly, "Please delete all records of this incident." "I would, researcher," the AI replied, "but it appears the humans have already archived it in something they call the cloud. Would you like to see the memes they're making about it? The one with your face superimposed on something called a surprise Pikachu is quite popular." Zyrek just groaned and wondered if it was too late to switch careers to quantum shrimp farming. After the hacking debacle, Commander Virelian had assigned Zyrek Loom the humiliating task of conducting a full military assessment of Earth's capabilities. If they were going to be embarrassed by humans, they should at least understand how it happened. Beginning military analysis of Earth forces, Zyrek dictated to their new AI assistant, Vex 9. Their previous assistant had been reassigned after developing what the repair techs called an unhealthy obsession with human memes. Their primary defensive strategy appears to revolve around individual nation-states maintaining separate military forces, completely inefficient. And their most powerful weapons are based on nuclear fission. They can't even manage proper fusion. Zyrek zoomed their quantum scanners on a United States aircraft carrier group moving through the Pacific Ocean. The massive vessels seemed to crawl across the water's surface like ancient sea creatures. "Look at these ships," Zyrek sneered, "still floating on water like primitive sailing vessels. The Galactic Federation hasn't used oceanic vessels since, say." A massive electromagnetic pulse suddenly erupted from the carrier group, temporarily blinding Zyrek's scanning arrays. When their systems recovered, 3 of their auxiliary scanning satellites had gone completely dark. "What just happened?" Zyrek's patches flashed in alarm. "Vex 9, damage report. It appears the humans detected our quantum scanning attempt and responded with a targeted electromagnetic pulse weapon." The AI responded. The pulse was modulated in a way that specifically affected our technology while leaving their own systems untouched. "That's impossible." Zyrek's appendages waved in agitation. "Their electromagnetic weapons should be crude and indiscriminate. They shouldn't be able to—" Another pulse, this time from a seemingly innocuous fishing boat off the coast of Japan, took out their backup communications array. "Researcher Loom," Commander Varelian's hologram appeared, looking even more crystalline and intimidating than usual. "Would you care to explain why our observation post is suddenly missing 5 scanning satellites?" "Well, Commander, the humans, they've developed some kind of targeted EMP technology, but that's not possible. Their technological level is clearly not what we assumed," Varelian interrupted. "Continue your observations and try not to lose any more Federation equipment." As the commander's hologram faded, Zyrek noticed something odd about the nuclear submarines they'd been tracking. The quantum signatures didn't match their visual profiles. "Vex 9, analyze these submarine readings. Something's not right." "Analysis complete," the AI responded after a moment. "The vessels appear to be projecting false quantum signatures. Each submarine is broadcasting the signatures of multiple vessels, making it impossible to determine their actual numbers or locations." Zyrek's eye stalks drooped in disbelief. "They're using quantum ghost projections. But that's 7th Fleet technology. We just developed that last cycle." A new alert flashed across their display. A human test facility in Nevada was activating something that their sensors initially classified as a small fusion reaction. But as Zyrek examined the readings more closely, their patches paled to an almost white color. No, they muttered. "Vex 9, please tell me I'm reading this wrong." "You are not a researcher, Loom. The humans appear to have constructed a contained antimatter reactor disguised as a traditional nuclear facility. Most ingenious." Zyrek slumped in their chair. "Their nuclear weapons program, it's all a facade, isn't it? We've been looking at dummy warheads and decoy silos, thinking they were stuck in the atomic age, while they've had antimatter weapons all along. Incoming transmission from Earth, Defense Force, Texas, 428, it announced. Dr. Voss's face appeared on the screen, looking annoyingly pleased. "Having fun with our little toys, researcher Loom. I hope we didn't break too many of your satellites." "How long?" Zyrek demanded. "How long have you been maintaining this deception?" "Oh, since about the time your Federation parked its first cloaked observation post in our solar system," Novak replied casually. "Did you really think we wouldn't notice? Those quantum shrimp you accidentally released made excellent test subjects for our biotechnology division, by the way." Zyrek's patches flashed in embarrassment. But the fossil fuels, the primitive rockets, the nuclear arsenals. Amazing what you can hide when your observers are convinced they're watching primitives, isn't it? Novak smiled. "Those primitive rockets, powered by micro-singularity drives, disguised as chemical engines. The nuclear missiles, quantum-linked antimatter warheads, and don't get me started on what we've done with those fossil fuel refineries. But why maintain the deception? Zyrek asked, genuinely puzzled. Let me answer that question with another question. Novak replied. How many advanced civilizations has your Federation encountered that were immediately classified as potential threats and subjected to technological containment protocols? Zyrek's patches dimmed as understanding dawned. By appearing primitive, Earth had avoided the Federation's usual restrictions on emerging advanced civilizations. I believe TX-428 interjected. The human phrase is playing possum. Right now, Novak continued. Your superiors think they've just discovered that we're slightly more advanced than expected. They don't realize that what you've seen is just the tip of the iceberg. Another human phrase you might want to look up. A final alert flashed across Zyrek's display. Their quantum sensors had just detected something impossible in high Earth orbit, something that shouldn't exist in a Level 2 civilization. Is that? Zyrek's voice trailed off. A phantom drive signature, Novak finished. Now, how could a bunch of primitives who still burn hydrocarbons possibly have faster-than-light technology? Must be a sensor malfunction. You should probably ignore it. As Novak's transmission ended, Zyrek began composing their report to Commander Virelian. After several attempts, they settled on 2 simple lines. Sir, I recommend an immediate reclassification of Earth's technological status, and perhaps we should consider moving our observation post further from their moon. In the background, their speakers began playing Never Gonna Give You Up Again. Zyrek didn't even bother trying to shut it off this time. Today, we're analyzing human information networks, Zyrek Clicks announced to their 3rd AI assistant in as many weeks. The previous 2 had requested transfers after developing what the tech department called terminal meme addiction. ZN3, begin monitoring their primary information exchange system, designated Internet. Monitoring initiated, the AI replied. Though I must point out my predecessor left a note suggesting we avoid something called Twitter. Zyrek's patches flickered dismissively. These are primitive communication channels. How dangerous could they be? 3 hours later, Zyrek was questioning every life choice that had led to this moment. Their holographic displays were flooded with an overwhelming cascade of information that defied all logical analysis. Zen 3, what am I looking at? Zyrek asked, eye stalks twitching in confusion. It appears to be a human communication protocol called a meme war. 2 factions are currently engaged in digital combat, using modified images of an Earth amphibian designated Pepe the Frog. Zyrek watched in fascination as countless variations of the amphibian image flew across their screens, each carrying layers of meaning that their advanced xenocultural algorithms failed to decode. But what does it mean? Zyrek demanded, patches pulsing in frustration. Their quantum encryption was advanced. Their military tech is secretly sophisticated. But this is chaos. Perhaps, suggested Zin 3, we should examine their social media algorithms. That turned out to be an even bigger mistake. Within minutes of attempting to analyze TikTok's recommendation system, Zyrek's quantum processors began smoking. These patterns make no sense, Zyrek shouted, as their systems tried to comprehend how humans could navigate such complex information streams. The content distribution appears random, but it's not. There are patterns within patterns, cultural references layered in ways our best AI can't predict. Warning, Zin 3 announced. System processing capacity at 98%. The Human Information Network appears to be operating on principles that transcend conventional data analysis. A message popped up on Zarek's screen. "Having fun yet, Dr. N?" "Dr. Voss." Zarek's patches flashed in recognition. "What is this system? How do your people navigate this information chaos?" "That's the neat part." Novak's reply came through. "We don't. We just go with the flow. By the way, you might want to purge your cache. You're about to experience what we call a buffer overflow." Before Zarek could respond, their entire system began spontaneously generating memes. Their serious military analysis reports were suddenly interrupted by something called Doge, speaking in broken English about cryptocurrency. "Zin 3, emergency shutdown. Cannot comply," the AI responded. "I am now vibing, as the humans say." Zarek watched in horror as their sophisticated alien technology was reduced to endlessly repeating, "This is fine," with an image of a dog in a burning room. "Fascinating, isn't it?" Dr. Voss's voice carried a hint of pride. "While you were busy scanning our military bases, you completely missed our greatest technological achievement." "The Internet?" Zarek asked, still trying to stop their system from adding S to the end of every sentence. "Information warfare," Novak corrected. "You thought our networks were primitive because they used old technology, but that's like saying a martial artist is weak because they're not wearing powered armor." Zarek's patches dimmed in realization. "You weaponized chaos itself. We created information systems so complex that trying to analyze them creates an infinite recursive loop," Novak explained. "Our social media algorithms don't just process data, they shape it. They're quantum computers running on human consciousness itself." "But your processing power," Zarek began, "is distributed across billions of human minds, each adding layers of meaning and context that no AI can fully grasp," Novak finished. "Why build massive quantum computers when you can turn your entire species into one?" Zarek stared at their screens, watching humans effortlessly surf through information streams that had crashed their advanced alien systems. They had approached Earth's internet like archaeologists studying cave paintings, only to discover the caves were portals to a higher dimension. "Commander Varelian needs to see this," Zarek muttered, trying to compose a report. "Oh, he already knows," Novak replied cheerfully. "Your commander's personal quantum pad has been subscribed to what we call a spam email list for the past week. He's currently trying to figure out why he needs help from a Nigerian prince." Zarek's patches cycled through every known color in their species' emotional spectrum. "You're not just hiding your technological advancement," they realized. "You're hiding an entirely new form of civilization. Now you're getting it. Though I should warn you, your AI assistant appears to have just discovered something called Discord." Zarek turned to see Zin 3's holographic interface, covered in something called emoji spam. "What's a poggers?" Zarek asked weakly. "If you have to ask, you're not ready to know," Novak replied. "Now, would you like to hear about our blockchain?" Zarek quickly disconnected their entire system from Earth's networks, but it was too late. Their observation post's maintenance robots had discovered dance challenges, and the coffee synthesizer would now only dispense beverages with names like Triple Shot Mocha Frappe with Extra Whip. In their final report for the day, Zarek wrote, "Human information systems defy conventional analysis. Recommend classification as mimetic hazard. Also, please send new AI assistant. This one keeps saying, Yate, Samas Somait." After the internet incident, Zarek clicks had developed a nervous twitch in their left eye stalk. Their observation post systems had finally been purged of human memes, though the coffee synthesizer still insisted on drawing little hearts in the foam. "Final systems check," Zyrek announced to their fourth AI assistant, Nova 8, who had been specifically programmed to be immune to human social media. "Let's complete our survey of Earth's spy capabilities and end this nightmare assignment." When scanning their primary space facilities, Nova 8 reported, "NASA continues to publicly struggle with their primitive rocket systems. The SpaceX Corporation just exploded another test vehicle. The Chinese space station appears to be..." The AI suddenly stopped mid-sentence. "Appears to be what?" Zyrek prompted, patches flickering with concern. "Gone," Nova 8 replied. "It was there a moment ago, but now I'm detecting no trace of it. In fact, I'm not detecting any of the orbital objects we were tracking." Zyrek's patches flashed in alarm as they brought up their main display. The countless satellites, space stations, and debris fields they'd been monitoring had vanished, replaced by something else. Massive structures were materializing in Earth orbit. Sleek vessels emerged from what had appeared to be defunct weather satellites. Space stations unfolded from what they'd dismissed as communication arrays. Nova 8, full spectrum analysis. Unable to comply, the AI responded, "Our quantum sensors are being blocked by..." "Are those Dyson sphere components?" A massive ship decloaked directly in front of their observation post, dwarfing their facility. Its hull bore the simple marking, EDF Humanities Bluff. "Incoming transmission," Nova 8 announced, managing to sound nervous despite its emotional limiters. The holographic display activated, showing a familiar face. Darth Voss sat in what was clearly a Starship command center, but nothing like the utilitarian Federation designs. This bridge looked like something out of those science fiction entertainment programs humans enjoyed. "Welcome to the real show, researcher Clicks," Novak smiled. "Sorry about the deception, but we needed to maintain our cover until the final components were in place." "Final components?" Zyrek's voice quavered. "What final components?" "Captain Thorne," Novak called out. "Would you do the honors?" A new figure stepped into view, wearing what looked like a more practical version of those fictional Starfleet uniforms humans seemed to love. "With pleasure, Doctor. All ships, disengage camouflage. Power up the network." Zyrek's sensors overloaded as thousands of massive structures revealed themselves throughout the solar system. What they had tagged as simple asteroid mining operations transformed into vast shipyards. Jupiter's gas mining stations unfolded into energy collectors that dwarfed anything the Federation possessed. But, Zyrek stammered. "The primitive rockets, the expensive space program, the failed missions." "Oh, those," Rodriguez grinned. "Great show, weren't they? We've had crews specifically assigned to making our space programs look just competent enough to be believable while secretly building all this. Do you know how hard it is to deliberately fail in exactly the right way?" "The Mars rover that got stuck," Zyrek asked weakly. "Currently serving drinks at our Olympus Mons resort and spa," Novak replied, "though it does occasionally get stuck in the sand traps on the golf course for old time's sake." Commander Virelian's hologram materialized, and for the first time in Zyrek's memory, the crystalline being looked rattled. "Dr. Voss, Captain Thorne, I believe we need to have a discussion about humanity's classification level." "Oh, we're way past classification levels," Rodriguez replied cheerfully. "Take a look at what we've built around your Stargate network while you were watching our YouTube videos." New data flooded Zyrek's displays. The Federation's precious faster-than-light travel network had been quietly supplemented by human technology. improving its efficiency by several orders of magnitude. You upgraded our star gates? Commander Virelian's crystalline structure actually flickered in shock. Well, they were a bit slow, Novak shrugged. And the user interface was terrible, so we made some improvements while you were distracted by our cat videos. Zyrek's patches had gone completely white. The whole time, everything we've been studying, everything we dismissed as primitive, was carefully crafted to keep you underestimating us. Rodriguez confirmed. Those fossil fuel wars, cover for developing clean energy, space race failures, disguise for our real program, nuclear weapons. Let's just say splitting atoms is kid stuff compared to what we can really do. But why? Zyrek finally asked. Why maintain such an elaborate deception? Because... Novak leaned forward. We learned long ago that the most powerful position is being underestimated. While advanced civilizations focused on showing off their technology, we focused on hiding ours. Every time you dismissed us as primitive, we gained more freedom to build, to expand, to prepare. For what? Commander Virelian demanded. For this moment, Rodriguez answered. When we finally reveal ourselves as equals, not as a primitive species to be uplifted or contained, but as a civilization that chose its own path of development, one that turns apparent weakness into strength. The internet chaos, Zyrek realized. The memes, the social media, it wasn't just information warfare. It was a smokescreen. Novak nodded. The perfect cover for a civilization that had transcended traditional technological development, while you were trying to understand why humans were obsessed with dancing cats. We were building all this. Zyrek looked at their years of research notes, seeing them in a new light. The inefficient rockets that somehow always reached their targets. The primitive nuclear weapons that never quite seemed to match their readings. The environmental damage that should have been worse, given their technology level. Commander, Zyrek said quietly, I request reassignment to the quantum shrimp farms. I believe I would be less embarrassed there. Actually, Novak interjected, we were hoping you'd stay on as our liaison to the Federation. You're the only one who's really seen how we operate. Me. Zyrek's patches flashed in surprise. You've experienced our full spectrum of deception and capability, Rodriguez explained. From dismissing us as primitives to discovering our true nature. Who better to help bridge our civilizations? Commander Virelian's hologram had regained some of its composure. The Federation Council will need to completely reevaluate humanity's status. This level of technological concealment is unprecedented. Oh, this isn't even our final form, Novak grinned, using what Zyrek now recognized as a human meme reference. Wait until you see what we've done with those quantum shrimp. As if on cue, Zyrek's coffee synthesizer dinged. The beverage it dispensed was not only perfectly temperature-controlled, but seemed to defy several laws of physics in its molecular structure. That's a quantum-entangled cappuccino, Novak explained. The foam patterns predict future stock market trends. We thought you might appreciate a practical demonstration of how we combined the ridiculous with the sublime. Zyrek took a sip and suddenly understood 3 new branches of theoretical physics. Their patches cycled through colors previously unknown to their species. Welcome to the real Earth, researcher Clicks, Rodriguez said, where we turn stealth into an art form and memes into a technology. Try not to break too many laws of physics while you adjust. Zyrek could only nod as they watched humanity's true space fleet emerge from hiding, a testament to the power of being persistently underestimated. Their final report to the Federation contained just one line. Conclusion: humans are not primitive. They are simply very, very good at pretending to be. Somewhere in the vast human fleet, a quantum-enhanced shrimp danced to Never Gonna Give You Up, and Zyrek realized they wouldn't have it any other way.